can't just play it. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm for you! Can't wait! Let's go!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Cheap Seats Podcast. Do not mind my hoarse voice. I was screaming at the television yesterday at those pathetic, putrid Philadelphia Eagles, but that's okay. We got a show for you today. Coming to us to my left, the Prince of Production for Sports Empire Network. We got the King, Kyle Edwards. How you feeling, Kyle?
I'm good. You know, a lot of crazy things going on in the world of sports, and this weekend was not any different. And I can't wait to discuss what we have ready for you guys.
We do have a lot. But before we get into a lot, joining us is one of the two hosts of the Bases Loaded podcast, the creator of Brutally Honest Sports. He's Bases Loaded. He's a baseball analyst. We got my main man, Aaron. How you feeling, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. As very similar to you, man. I was yelling at those Eagles last night. We don't have to get into that right now, but man, that was not a good night last night. But we're on to today.
Thank God it's a debate show because, like, if I'm being completely honest with you, like, I don't want to talk about that. So we don't have to because we have barbershop talk. This isn't for analyzing that bullshit of a game. What, we're 3 minutes and I'm already cursing. I got to knock that off. We got a lot to get into, though. Our man Chase will be joining us with his take inside the Kansas City Chiefs locker room with Patrick Mahomes, with Andy Reid. Kim and Kadarius Toney are in the car together, driving there. So we'll talk to him shortly. He'll be on. But we got a lot to get into. And where we want to start is, Chase has made it no bones about it. He's not a huge basketball guy. Chase is there. WWE aficionado, NFL guy, Kansas City Chiefs, but we got a basketball topic to get into tonight. And maybe I'm nuts, right? And I'll start. The in-season tournament just happened. And I want to hear your opinions. People in the chat, obviously you guys, because I have a different opinion there. I feel like I'm nuts. What's your opinion on the value of an in-season tournament? The Lakers are going to honor LeBron and AD and throw up a banner. I thought this was a regular season fun tournament, like almost like winning an all-star game. Like, I don't know. Like, all right, from a level of all-star game and NBA championship with gold medal somewhere in there, where would you rank the in-season tournament? The in-season regular season tournament, like basically a single elimination little group play, randomly like played games. Like, maybe I'm underrating it, but I felt like we all talked about this before it happened. And yes, it was entertaining. It was fun to watch. I'll give them all the credit in the world. But I felt like we all talked about this beforehand. We're like, I mean, it's cool. The $500,000 is pretty cool. But like, I look at this like winning the Major League All-Star game. Like, yeah, and then they're talking about adding onto it, which I think is cute, the possibility of like guaranteeing the in-season tournament winner a playoff spot no matter what. That might be cool. We'll see. But like, I'll pause here because I have a lot to get into with it. But Kyle, like, how do you rate the in-season tournament?
I mean, I was a fan of it. I think seeing it play out, Adam Silver and the NBA office should be happy with the results of it. Like you said, for November, December games, we saw teams that were locked in outside of the Pelicans in the knockout round where they didn't show up, but every other team that were kind of in contention played well. Bad teams, if there was an in-season tournament and if there wasn't, would still be bad. Not worried about them. I felt like it put some teams that maybe a lot of fans don't get to watch on a platform. The Magic, the Pacers, teams like that are kind of up and coming. So I like that. In terms of post-tournament now, I think for Adam Silver, he wants the team that wins it to hang a banner because he wants it to be like a legitimate thing. So I'm fine with that.
Banner though, bro? A banner?
He wants these teams to celebrate it. However you choose to, it's up to you. You know, the Lakers want to do a banner. They said like they're going to do like a singular banner for in-season tournament, and like each time they win it, they'll just add to that one banner. They won't hang multiple ones. So I guess they'll probably just do like the year they win. Fine with that. The medals, I mean, they handed out medals like the other night. Are they just getting the same one over again, or what are they doing with that? Now the medals makes it seem like it's on level with the Olympics. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. The banner, I'm fine with. The medals, that's probably a little bit too much. In terms of your question between All-Star Game and I guess like an NBA title, where does it fall? I would say it's a little bit bigger than an All-Star Game, but it's not to the point where, you know, you got Bron fans talking about, oh, LeBron's won his 5th title. I feel like y'all need to calm down with that.
I can't keep a straight face.
That part, I knew that was coming, but that's a little bit too far as well. It is what it is. It's an in-season tournament. It's a chance for probably younger teams to maybe learn something about themselves on a playoff type stage early in the season. And for veteran teams, it's probably just motivation to get through November and December. That's kind of what it is. But like I said, I have no problem if you're going to celebrate it as long as you don't go too far. I'm like you.
You think honoring LeBron and AD?
That part I don't get. Like, what does that mean? Are they going to have like some like 30-minute ceremony with like a video package for LeBron because
like a
of
mini
who he
parade
is, and this being the first one?
I'm waiting for the parade.
That's what
I'm waiting for like the Lakers to throw a parade.
I mean, I feel like that when I was kind of waiting to see how they're going to celebrate it, my first thought was, will they do a parade for this? They're not going to.
Thinking about that?
I just want, because we know
it's a regular season tournament.
Right. But we know
elimination.
But we know LeBron can be extra at times.
Oh
no! If LeBron went to the Lakers and said, "Let's have a parade," you think they would have told him no? Not a chance. Anything he would have wanted to do, they would have done for him.
People wonder why I've started to hate LeBron, and I'm going to get right to Aaron shortly. And I'm not kidding with you. It's not a joke. When LeBron came into the league, one of my best friends in the whole world is a LeBron James fanatic. We traveled from Philadelphia to Cleveland to watch him play at the Q in the beginning of his career. And I thought that the tastefulness of the way he left Cleveland I wasn't a fan of it, right? I didn't like the decision. And then I'm like, I was kind of rooting against them a little bit, but I got over it after a year. When they lost to the Mavericks, I'm like, okay, like I still like the player. He's a good human being. He does things for like kids and schools and crap like that. And then he came back home to Cleveland. I'm like, oh man, this is cool. Like I'm coming home, the song, like I'm back where I belong. Like, all right, cool. I'm like, I'm with this. I don't hate him. Then he leaves to go to LA. I'm like, all right, Bronny's growing up, no big deal. No issues with that. He gets to the ESPYs and he says something like, lucky for you guys, I'm not hanging him up. Like, lucky for us. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Oh, holy LeBron. Like, and I think the fact that he's such I guess, I don't want to say like oblivious to like the way people perceive him or a flopper or a complainer, but like he's got that like softness in him that just like I can never see Kobe Bryant be like, all right, cool. Like it's a regular season game. We won. Like he would never celebrate this. Am I wrong? Aaron, help me out understand if Kobe Bryant, how he would have reacted to this. Or Michael Jordan, or I think Michael Jordan would have played 18 holes of golf before the championship game. Like, oh, we're in Vegas. I get a chance to play 18 holes here, and I'll go win the in-season tournament later on tonight.
Place a bet or two. Why not?
Yeah, no, I think you're speaking my language, man. Like I've been a LeBron hater since he stepped foot in Miami. Like when he formed that whole decision, choreographed show or whatever you want to call it on ESPN, I totally turned like I was never gonna be a fan again. And then sure he comes home, gives them the championship that he promised them and whatnot. And I'm not taking anything away from him as a player, obviously one of the best players of all time. But like him as just his personality and the way he goes about things, I'm just not on board with. Like I would much rather have seen Kobe, right now, right here, right now. Obviously, that's not the case, but like you're exactly right when you say like Kobe would have laughed at this idea. He would have been like, "This means absolutely nothing." Kobe was up 2 games in the finals, and yeah, he was up two games in the finals, and they're like, why aren't you smiling? He's like, "Job's not finished," and that's the finals. Like he would have laughed at this tournament and said, "This is an utter waste of time." Like I get the 500,000 for like the bench players and the guys that aren't making the LeBron type of money, but like to LeBron for lack of a better word, he wipes his ass with 500,000. Like at the end of the day, that's not moving the needle for him. Like and then like I obviously people on social media get carried away, but when people are gonna say, oh, Jordan has 6 rings, but LeBron has 3 in-season tournaments. Like, can you imagine someone actually making that statement and being serious about it? Like, let's pump the brakes. Like, it's fun, it's cool, it's a nice idea, but I just the fact that they went crazy and they're gonna celebrate this like that. I just hope they lose in the actual playoffs even more now because it would be an ultimate troll job then.
The fact that they're going to honor AD and LeBron, like, are you going to honor
that
Austin
part I don't
Reeves?
get.
Like, I don't like what Austin Reeves had the biggest shot at the in-season tournament now, but like, is it really? I don't know, man. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear opinions from somebody else that has a different opinion. Like, I think it's cool. I think they won something. Like, I think it's like, all right. So if I was scaling it, like 1 was an all-star game, and 2 or 3 was a regular season game, and 10 was the NBA Finals, and like 7 would be like an Olympic gold medal. This would be like a 4.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Like it's a little above a regular season game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not. All right, let me ask you a question real quick. Do you think if the Lakers lose in the first round of playoffs, that would be better than making it to the finals and losing, but winning the in-season tournament? No, like I'm not like I'm really trying to like, what does it add as far as an accolade? Like, what is it? Like, oh, we lost in the third round of the playoffs, but we won the in-season tournament. Like, what would be the? I don't know. It like
well, I think the part of it that Aaron kind of touched on was the part of LeBron that I think people disliked first was the fans of his that just went out of the way to make arguments for him. And that's what we're seeing today. And I feel like at first LeBron kind of didn't really feed into it. He kind of let it be. But now it's almost like he's fueling those people by the way he reacts to stuff like this.
Bro, the comment he made about Austin Reeves in the flu game, like, was it Jordan's flu game or Austin Reeves' flu game? Like, what are we talking about? Like, that's what I'm saying. Makes me lose my mind.
That stuff to fuel his fans, because his fans will run with that and be like, you know what? Because they already think Jordan played against like plumbers and stuff. They feel like Jordan played against nobody. And the fact that he's going to say, well, Austin Reeves did this with the flu, and they already think the talent today is way better than when Jordan played. Some of them may legit think what Austin Reeves, whatever he did the other night, might actually be on par with Jordan. And if somebody came in my face and tried to make that argument with me, I'd walk away the minute they said Austin Reeves and Jordan in the same sentence. To avoid jail time, I'd walk away because that is ridiculous. And then, kind of like Mo said, the fact that LeBron brought that up, like, come on, he's supposed to be this big student of the game and all this. To form that thought in your head and actually say it out loud in a public setting is wild to me. Like, you want to say it at home to Bronny and have a good laugh, knock yourself out. But look, I'm one of those who I get it. LeBron is a great talent, but I don't care what he does at this point in his career. He's not touching Jordan unless he goes out and wins like 4 more titles. Then we can talk about it. But this in-season tournament doesn't move the needle in terms of the GOAT conversation for me at all. Not 1%. So LeBron fans, take that for what you want.
So hold on. I think I want to give you one more reason why he annoys me. And like, look, I'm gonna make something very clear, Aaron, Kyle. I'm gonna make this very clear. LeBron is a better human being than Michael Jordan. He's a better person, right? Mike wasn't a great person. He wasn't. He didn't help the kids. He didn't like build schools. Like, he's a great person. The LeBron James lies drive me up a wall. Like the things he says. So like I had this ready for you guys just for fun. And it's the 5 most famous LeBron James lies that were said. So it goes, I was listening to the Migos my first year with the Heat in 2010. And you can ask any of my teammates back then. They had no idea who the Migos was. I was like, I'm telling you, these guys are next. Well, the Migos didn't have an album, didn't come out until 2011. So that was a lie, right? You weren't listening to the Migos. So then he goes, I watched the whole game. I seen the whole game. I was at home watching the game. Before the game started, I said he might score 70. I don't know what made me say that. I'm a fan of the game. So to see that performance was unbelievable on Kobe scoring 81 points.
That one will stick with me because I saw the clip of him saying that, and he's like, I felt like that night he was going to score. Like, he just threw it's like he's throwing a number out there, but he knew. Oh, I knew for a fact he'd score 7. You're like, come on, really?
The lie he told about the autobiography of Malcolm X was, and then he got asked about it. He goes, I kind of started a couple of days ago. I've read a lot of notes over the years. It's my first time actually reading it start to finish. Then he said his favorite saying, I had a coach who used to say, put yourself in situations where you're not comfortable. That's my favorite saying. That's my favorite saying. But my favorite one of all time is The Godfather. When they said it's his favorite movie of all time is The Godfather. And they asked him, oh, what's your favorite line? He's like, oh, there's so many of them. It's like, oh, just give me one. Like, no idea. Like, he's so unlikable to me.
Like, if he were kind of like Jimmy Butler, where like before the season, Butler does stuff with his hair just to troll people, I would appreciate it. But LeBron comes across like he's dead serious about the stuff that he says, and then you're just like, you can't be. Because remember with the whole book thing, it'd be like primetime games. He'd be in the locker room reading a book, and the analysts would go crazy about that. Look at him, he's reading, getting calm and stuff like that. And I'd always think like, did he just open that the minute he knew the camera guy was coming around? Like, did he?
It was always on page 1. It was, if you look at those pictures, like 9 out of 10 of them, they were always on page 1.
And like, it's just like, why do that, LeBron? That's the main question. Like, why? You don't need to do stuff like that. They're gonna love you anyway. But why do you have to throw the book into it? And Pavel says weird thing to compare MJ and LeBron on their personal accomplishments. It is and it isn't, because LeBron fans will tell you that's why he's the GOAT, because he's a better human than MJ. Even though you'd say no, talking about on the court stuff.
The only reason I bring it up, pal, and I just want to be clear, is because I don't like want the world or anyone listening to think like I dislike LeBron James. I dislike him as a player, as like I don't like his personality. You ever meet that guy where you're just like, I mean, he's a good guy, I just don't like him. Like, that's, and it's not like a hater aspect. Like, maybe I'm a hater, maybe I am. I don't have no problem admitting that I could be a hater, but I don't hate him because he's great, right? Like, I love Kobe because Kobe's great. I love Michael because Michael's great. I don't like him because he's such a weasel about it. Like, it's just the way he portrays himself. Like, lying about The Godfather, like, why? What's the reason? Do you want to come off as cooler? Chase, I don't know, man. We're talking about the in-season tournament. Welcome.
That might be it, though. Like, he wants to be the cool kid. So
Yeah,
he
like
tries to get on with every trend and everything like that.
the Malcolm X book. Like, why lie about that? Like, people are gonna call you on it. Like the Godfather line is my favorite thing ever. He's like, just give me one line. Just one. No, so many of them. Okay. Like,
Gentlemen, how we doing tonight?
phenomenal.
So, Chase?
We're talking about LeBron and we're talking about the in-season tournament and how it's how it should be portrayed to the public. Like the way, like, all right, like on a scale of 1 to 10, we did this before you got on. I don't
think
know if
it's
you
weird
heard.
that they're switching up now.
Are you talking about the fans? Are you talking about the fans, Chase?
I assume he's talking about like the actual games going from in season to just regular season, I guess, maybe. Because the intensity is not going to be there anymore.
He's frozen.
Oh, there he is. I think he's
back.
Yeah, he's back.
No, I don't know. Do you mean switching up like the fans? Like the fans were like, oh, it's just an in-season tournament, but then the Lakers won. It's like, oh, it's the greatest thing of all time. Like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's also a good point.
That was interesting. I respect LeBron as far as his accomplishments on the court and helping the community and charities, but his social media rants, yikes. Great player, but he's so staged and scripted. I can't.
That's what it is. Staged and scripted. Just yes.
Well, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. Because I feel like A-Rod was like that. Alex Rodriguez always came across as scripted, and that's
why do you think people like Derek Jeter more? Derek Jeter wasn't a better ball player,
right?
He wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a thing on the field Derek Jeter did better than Alex Rodriguez outside of winning.
Yeah, they're probably showing up in the playoffs, but yeah,
more clutch, more over the long haul. But
he wasn't a better defender. He wasn't a better hitter. Didn't hit for power better. Didn't have a better arm.
Nope.
Like Jeter did nothing except be more clutch and more real, and more like humane with the community.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
the Brady Manning thing too. Brady is seen as more corporate, while Peyton Manning's like the guy you'd meet at a sports bar, and that's what made him more likable to Tom Brady.
Well, Manning also didn't get caught cheating twice.
I mean, I feel like it was even before that. People liked Manning because like Brady had Uggs and stuff.
You know what you forget? I know you're a Patriot. You know what you forget? The love affair that happened with Tom Brady his first three Super Bowls. People loved him
because he wasn't a star or anything at that point. Then once he became a better player, it seemed like people.
And when did that happen?
When they opened up the offense to him. Look, I know what you're saying. The whole whatever.
Spygate, Deflategate.
I don't even care about them because I still say they are so overblown. It's kind of funny at this point.
I really love that Gene brought this up because this is hilarious to me. Do you know why nobody contests Tom Brady or Bill Belichick or the Patriots rings? Because everything that Tom and the Patriots got caught doing, all the teams are doing.
Exactly.
All of them.
I don't know. What about when they were talking? I mean, I don't know how legitimate it was, but they were filming walkthroughs of other people's practices. Like, Kyle, you probably know it better than I do, like the legitimacy of that. But all I remember is like before, you guys probably beat us regardless. But when the Eagles lost to the Patriots, it was like, well, they taped our practice, they taped Carolina. Like there was all that speculation of there were insiders in practices.
Completely agree. But remember, the only issue was where the person was. They didn't care about
This is it. The problem was they burned the friggin' tapes. That was the issue.
That's the league. The league did that.
The league seen things that were so bad that they burnt the tapes. Why would they burn the tapes if there were nothing? Oh, no. This is why we're finding them. This is what they did. Why would they burn the tapes?
That's not me for art. That's not for me.
I'm not asking for you to argue it, but
no, I'm just saying.
Why would they burn them if there wasn't anything bad on there? Why wouldn't they burn them?
I mean, the league does stupid things anyway. Look, for me, I wouldn't have cared if they put the stuff out there. Because like Chase said, I guarantee you would have found stuff on there that other coaches would have came on the next day and been like, not that big of a deal.
Why did Eric Mangini call him out for it after he left and was part of it?
Mangini, from what we've understood.
Because Mangini was a part of that staff and knew what he was doing.
I agree. So he knew they were doing some Shady stuff. Josh McDaniels got caught doing it in Denver. It all stems from the same tree.
Right, but it's also the same way that Jimmy Johnson, Bill Cowher, and coaches like that said they had guys who did the same thing up in the booth. So they didn't see that big of a problem.
You don't think Kraft sprinkled some money over to Goodell, and he's like, let's kind of
he may have
put this under the rug. I think potentially because like if that Patriots dynasty would have been like halted by all these allegations, like the NFL doesn't want that black cloud over like
it would have ruined the shield.
That's what I'm saying. Like if the Chiefs
this is
become that
what's so
dynasty,
crazy to me. There is players that are like Tom Brady is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game. If players really thought that the Patriots were trying to get that much of an edge and cheating that much, do you really think that there was players out there?
True though, Chase.
I mean, that's odd to me.
Yeah, but why can't both be true? I think both are true. I'm of the inclination that both are true. Tom Brady's the first ballot Hall of Famer. He's incredible. Belichick's a great coach, but they cheated. Like Lance Armstrong was a hell of a cyclist, right? Mm-hmm. But he used PEDs. Like I don't. This is
95% of that sport uses it too. So to single out Lance Armstrong was kind of crazy to me as well.
Okay, that's fair. But what about the people that don't, that abide by the rules and never get the championship?
There's probably two of them who might have.
I'm going to say this
I
about
don't agree with that. But let's just say all those guys from the Tour de France, all of them. Let's just say there's at least one guy that just does everything the right way, trains hard, but can't win because he's at an unfair playing advantage. Is that cheating?
Okay. Here's the problem with the Lance Armstrong thing. Lance Armstrong had multiple forms of cancer and was taking PEDs. Now, it was wrong regardless, and he cheated. The problem with Lance Armstrong is that he ruined everybody's life and career who tried to go public about him using PEDs.
I'm not saying Lance is a good person. My point is there's great athletes. Like Manny Ramirez was a great athlete, but he used PEDs. Like there's great players that have done, like Barry Bonds. Guys, we got a baseball guy on here. Watch this. Ready? I'm going to have some fun. Aaron, who's the greatest baseball player of all time? Of all time, in your opinion?
I mean, I rule Bonds out of it, so that the first things first. I mean, I would probably go with just Hank Aaron because he's not tainted in any way.
The greatest baseball player of all time is Barry Bonds on PEDs. There's no doubt about it. I'm not saying that you can rule him out opinion-wise because you can, but like there was no one better ever. But before he did PEDs, he was a 40-40 guy. He was one of the best players for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was incredible. He didn't need to do that. But he did it. And was there a lot of people else in Major League Baseball that used PEDs?
A ton, yeah.
A ton. So, like, it doesn't mean – so, like, let me ask you a question real quick. Do you guys remember Brady Anderson's ridiculous season?
Yeah.
50, he went 8 home runs and he had 50 the next year. And then he got caught with PEDs. Mm-hmm. Not a shocker. Do you think that there's a player in the minor leagues that never got a shot at in the show because a PED user had his spot?
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Well, then that's a problem. Whether or not they would have been in the show or not, if you cheat, I don't care if 80% of the league does it. If there's one person doing it right, it's not – you understand what I'm saying? Like, do you guys – maybe my opinion is nuts. But if there's a guy doing it right and everybody else is cheating, like you're cheating that guy.
No, I understand. But my thing when it comes to the Patriots also is like, okay, let's go past Spygate. Let's take Deflategate.
Okay.
Everybody was so up in arms about Deflategate, yet nobody can tell me what balls the refs measured, what they measured at, because they said the Colts balls were kind of under too, but nobody cared about that aspect of it. Aaron Rodgers came out and said, I overinflate mine. Nobody cared about that either. All they cared was Brady, Patriots, scandal. That's what took over all the news cycles.
Well, the Colts intercepted the ball. They had the ball in their hands. Mm-hmm. And they're like, this ball feels super underinflated.
Go
Now,
look at the stats of the game.
No,
Well, look-
there's no way that the Patriots lose that football game. They could have
Yeah.
played with a volleyball and they would have won the game.
Look
That's
at which
not
team.
the point.
Look at what team multiple times reported the Patriots to the league. Kyle, what team was it that reported
Baltimore.
the Patriots
Baltimore.
multiple times?
It's
The
Baltimore.
Colts.
No,
Colts.
the Baltimore Ravens did. The Ravens
yeah,
told the
right.
Colts that it happened to look out for it. That's what they told them.
Yeah.
That's how that all got there. Harbaugh was the one that called him on it.
Yeah, because Harbaugh is another one who loves. Yes. Because he also had the issue that playoff game with how the Patriots were lining up on certain plays. He thought it was illegal.
By the way, it was genius. That's not illegal. It was genius.
Exactly. And that's why Brady and Belichick were kind of like, why don't you read the rule book? Because then Harbaugh used the same formations the season after. So
All right,
clearly
well,
he learned something.
We've gotten completely off topic, which is fun. It's always fun when we do this on Cheat
Kyle
Sheet.
rolls in the barbershop.
However, I want to pass the rock to my man Aaron. He has a question about, I think it's about Shohei, baseball question. We have our baseball guy on. Bases Loaded podcast. Check him out. Oh, I like that blue. It looks good. It's almost like you went from Bloods to Crips, right? Is that like, I shouldn't say that.
I love it.
I mean, obviously, this is kind of swept the entire sports world over the weekend, and just the whole complexity of like. First thing I'll ask, like a two-part question, really, is how, like, did you guys think that he was a Blue Jay and it was like signed, sealed, delivered? First things first, and then the second part of the question's like kind of not related. So, did you think there was any shot that he wasn't going to be a Blue Jay? Obviously, all this misreporting and like they were keeping it real quiet on Ohtani's camp. But like, what do you think when all those reports surfaced?
I'll start. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I never thought he was going to be a Blue Jay. I just didn't think he was going to be a Dodger. And I'll tell you why. Shohei made it very clear to everybody that he really wanted his anonymity. He wanted his quiet, don't talk about our meetings or I won't sign with you. And then when Dave Roberts went out there and said we had a 2-3 hour meeting with him, and like the reports start coming in, like Shohei does not like that. Like he wanted anonymity and he wanted it to be quiet. I never thought he was going to be a Blue Jay. I knew he wasn't going to be Yankee Met. I knew he wouldn't be a Philly or a Red Sox. I knew that he didn't want to live in the big city or be in the big city. I actually thought as it went longer and longer that there were two destinations that he could end up. One was back in LA as an Angel. I thought he would return as an Angel. Ron Washington made some comments that, by the way, could have turned Shohei off when he made those comments about like, oh, God.
I'll be right back. Sorry, I just got to run.
Oh, okay.
30 seconds. Yeah.
Ron Washington made some comments about it, and I think that turned him off. And then the second place I thought he would go would be San Francisco. I thought San Francisco, they constantly missed out on a lot of different opportunities for great players. They're always involved, and they're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Like the Aaron Judge situation where he was all but signed. Carlos Correa. There's so many of them. I can name like 15 of them. But when he ended up in LA, I just knew that they broke the checkbook out. We're like, no other team can give you 70 million. What?
Insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. The amount of money was just outrageous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll go and say that I figured the Dodgers would be in play. I was hoping he wouldn't go to the Dodgers because the Dodgers have just turned into like the 90s Yankees of the West. Whoever the big name is, they throw all the money at them and they assume that's how they're going to win. When the Blue Jays came up, I thought it'd be interesting if he chose Toronto, but I was like, let's be honest. Why would Shohei choose Toronto? So I, like you, thought the Giants are in a big market, but they're not like on the Dodgers level. They're kind of seen as like the level below. And the Giants seemingly, when they sign big name free agents, they do it under the radar, which kind of seemed what Ohtani was kind of looking for. And then if it wasn't there, I thought maybe the Mariners, because like Ichiro connection, and Seattle's like a hotbed for like the Japanese culture and everything like that. Those are the two places I thought he'd go. But in the back of my mind, I knew the Dodgers were going to have the money to throw at him. It was just going to be up to him whether or not he wanted to go there or not.
Mo said he thought he would be a Dodger all along. What do you think, Chase?
I love the Seattle reference that Kyle mentioned. That's where I thought he was going to go. I'll tell you what, I damn sure didn't think he was going to go to the Royals, since we're a big market team that doesn't spend any money. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. I was watching watching Kyle in there the other day, and some goofball commented he was like the Royals are so pathetic because they're a big market team that don't spend any money. I wouldn't call Kansas City a big market team at all. But yeah, and I was super shocked it wasn't Seattle. I pinned him in Seattle as soon as I heard he was leaving Los Angeles. So the fact that he went to the Dodgers, Houston was another team that I had like on the back burner, like of possibility of they could make some room for him.
What are your thoughts, Aaron? I would love to hear.
I was fearful that he was gonna go like Toronto. Like I just didn't. So, Gene, you're probably gonna hate me for this, but I'm a Phillies fan, but I'm also an Orioles fan. So as much as I don't like having two teams, I kind of do in baseball. And like him being in the AL East, it was kind of terrifying. I didn't want him to go to the NL East, obviously, either. But when all those reports were like he's going to Toronto, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, here we go, and Toronto is just a very unlikable team for me. I think they talk a lot and they don't really back it up, and they just have a ton of cocky players on that roster, and they rub me the wrong way. I'll put it that way. So
we got a bunch of big leaguers kids on that team.
Yeah.
We got baby Bichette, baby Biggio, baby Guerrero.
Yeah, and they don't. And like I don't know. Him going to the Blue Jays wasn't it for me. I mean, as much as like Kyle and I touched on the Bases Loaded podcast, we don't like the Dodgers so much either. They're kind of Yankees West, but it's like I don't know. I mean, I still think like Phillies, Dodgers, like I wouldn't be fearful to go up against them, to be honest with you. I just with the Phillies pitching with the depth they have in the lineup, I'm not like fearful. Obviously, it would make it harder if he's in there as a pitcher in a couple of years, but that's the whole thing with this deal is like we don't know, if he comes back, will he be as elite as a pitcher as he once was? Like probably, maybe, but we just don't know. Like, and then the amount of money they spent, I mean, really, there's only a couple teams in baseball that were probably going to do that. So was I shocked that he's a Dodger? Not really. But I thought when all these reports came out, I kind of bought into the hype as well. And I was like, wow, the Blue Jays really, really went all out and went big money bags for Ohtani, but they came up short, I guess, or it was just a better fit for him in LA.
Okay.
Side question. How many years do you all think it takes before baseball starts signing billion-dollar contracts? 5 years?
Never.
Yeah, I don't know who would warrant that.
Can I tell you why it's never? You could make an argument that Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player ever to play the game. He's a top 3 pitcher in all of baseball. He's the best hitter in all of baseball. You're essentially getting 2 players. Now, the issue that I see, which you're not going to see that, like that's a once in a generation type talent. You'll never see a guy that is a top 3 pitcher in all of baseball and a top 3 hitter in all baseball ever again. So, like, I think that he was so unique. Now, the part I think screwed him a little bit, obviously didn't screw him with money-wise, was the Tommy John. I don't know if you just paid $70 million. You better hope he pitches again. You can't pay $70 million for a DH.
At a high level, too. You better hope he pitches at a high level.
Correct. And, like, there are guys that don't come back from Tommy John. For every good story, success story you hear about Tommy John, there's a Noah Syndergaard who just lost it. You're talking about a guy threw 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Now he can't hit 95. And that's what his bread and butter was. Thor would overpower you. He didn't really have the, Greg Maddox dust you, little corners working it out. Tom Glavine in them, I don't know, man. I think it's way too much. I'm glad that a team that I support did not pay him $70 million a year. I will ask this, though. What do you guys think about the deferred contract? He's going to take $2 million a year until 2034. And then he's going to get like $68 million for the next like 7 years or 10 years after that.
Yeah.
I mean, setting himself up for life.
Exactly. Like, it shows that, one, the Dodgers couldn't even really afford him because they had to make a trade with the Yankees to like make room for him. So they signed him to this deal and then had to do stuff on the back end to fit him in. I mean, the deferred stuff, I'm assuming this was probably the last contract he plays for. Because once you finish this contract and the deferred money starts rolling in, would you really have a desire to go out there and tax your body even more when you already have that guaranteed money rolling in after your playing career could be over? So I think while it's an interesting way to do business, I wonder, will other teams follow suit? And would other free agents be even open to doing something like this? Because a lot of players would want to get their money like now. Deferring it doesn't really do much for them. It kind of depends on your way of thinking, because a lot of athletes just think about today, now, how much can I get paid right now? And Ohtani's like, it comes across like Ohtani's doing it for winning with the Dodgers. It seems like he just wanted to be there.
I heard Jonathan talking this morning, and he said this could open the door for Cody Bellinger asking for $350 million. Bro, Cody Bellinger's not worth $35 million, let alone $350 million. Like, are you guys out of your friggin' mind? Baseball need to wake up.
Yes.
Like, what?
Yeah, I think Kyle makes like excellent points when he says like I don't think most free agents would do the deferred. Like, yeah, there's rare circumstances, but like for him not to take, and we make, say 2 million's not much, but obviously it is, but like in the grand scheme of this contract, that's like pennies. And then like I don't think your Juan Soto's of the world and like even Harper on the Phillies, like as much as he wants to win and he's a team guy, like I just don't see these type of guys like your upper echelon, Aaron Judge, like just those type of guys are not. I don't see that they would do the deferred thing. Like he's kind of a different breed in the fact that he's doing it that way. Like he's allowing it to be that way.
It's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. I mean, listen, I don't know if I can get away with making $2 million a year. I don't think I can make it through the world, but Shohei will figure it out.
Right.
He will figure it out.
It helps he makes like $50 million a year in endorsements and stuff off the field. So he'll be all right.
I don't know.
He might have a big lifestyle.
Super quiet. Doesn't want to be involved in. I said this before. I don't think he wants to win. That sounds crazy to me, but I want to stay in an environment where it's quiet. They don't talk about my public life, and like didn't he have an interview? Like, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong. Where he wouldn't even tell people his dog's name. Like, wasn't that like a thing?
Yeah, that was getting a lot of buzz. I mean, I'm not gonna say I totally disagree. Like, maybe he wants to win, but he doesn't want to be like on the. He's the opposite of the last guy. Like LeBron wants to be on every newspaper, every article, every front page of a magazine. Like Ohtani, I think could win a championship, and he'd be like, okay, interview Kershaw or interview whoever on the dot. Excuse me, Mookie Betts, whoever.
You compare him a lot to like Nikola Jokic in the
I was
NBA.
about to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a great comparison.
All right, well, Chase, we waited for you. We really wanted to get into this Chiefs question that you had, and
well, I wanted to rephrase it, not just the Chiefs, but what division leaders are we looking at right now in the NFL that you all don't think could or will make the playoffs?
Well, definitely not the Chiefs, right? You're not really asking that question, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I just wanted to.
Well, anybody
I damn sure want to roast anybody who says otherwise.
Well, I mean, I only think there's one division winner right now that can't make the playoffs, and I think that would be the Buccaneers. I think the other 7 are locks to make the playoffs. Am I wrong to say that? Like, and I think the Bucs do make the playoffs. I think your 8 division leaders right now, and the Eagles are locks. The Buccaneers are the only team that I could see slipping off. But if I'm being completely honest, I look at that division and I go, Derek Carr, 3 cracked ribs, team doesn't like him. Desmond Ritter or Baker Mayfield. I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield in that point. Like, I think that there's just more camaraderie in the Bucs locker room than it is in the other in the AFC suck or in the NFC sucks, the South division. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like the Lions look like they're a shell of themselves, and the Eagles the last 2 weeks have looked absolutely embarrassing, but they have 10 wins. They could fall into a playoff spot. I don't see any, like the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. The Miami Dolphins, the Ravens are locks to make the playoffs. The Jaguars,
the Jags?
No, you know why I say no? They have one losable game left on their schedule, and it's the Ravens. Every other game they should win. Like if you look at the Jags schedule, and by the way, it's crazy to think just 7 days ago we were prepping the Jags could be the number 1 overall seed.
I know.
Trevor Lawrence plays a hell of a game on Monday Night Football, gets hurt. Jake Browning has like his swan song performance, and the Bengals beat them. And then he played in Cleveland yesterday, didn't play a hell of a game, and they lost to the Browns. And now all of a sudden you're questioning that. I don't know. I would just say it was the Buccaneers. That's the only one I can think that wouldn't make it. I think the funnier question is Kyle's when he talks about the wild card, but Chase, you're letting me down. You're letting me down. I thought I was getting a question about, I prepped for this, about the officiating or Mahomes or the offsides.
Well, it was going to lead into Mahomes, like, can Mahomes lead the Chiefs into the playoffs? I mean, if you're asking me about the offsides thing, he's offsides there. What I do want to correct is there was a bunch of people today that were like, "Oh my God, he was so off. He was so far offsides. He was almost lined up next to the D lineman." Bro, he's not that far offsides. that's egregious. But he was offsides. I mean, it was where my biggest issue comes from is Mahomes and Reed. There was a lot of people who had a lot of stuff to say about Mahomes, which is funny. I waited for Kyle to talk. I was sitting there I was like, man, I hope Kyle's talking shit. I really hope Kyle's talking shit because I'm gonna blast him for being a Brady fan, talking about Mahomes. I did find it weird, and this is just odd to me that Reed threw a really big fit about that yesterday about, the sideline judge, the referees usually tell him that he's got a guy, that the guy's lining up off sides. And then today in Reed's press conference, Reed goes, Tony didn't check. The players are supposed to check with the sideline judges if they're offsides. Tony didn't check. Well, there was a bunch of videos from fans that were like, he did check. So my question is, why would Reed say that he didn't when there's obvious showings that he did?
Andy Reid has coached in 397 football games.
Yes.
397. This is the first time in Andy Reid's career that one of his teams was called for offsides on the offense.
Wow.
Never been called. Now, false start, different. Offsides on the offense has been, called a little bit more this year than it has previously. But when they say it was called one time in 2021, 2 times in 2022, and 11 times this year, what they're referring to is they called it 8 times on the Philadelphia Eagles for tush pushes. So if we're really being honest, they've only called it 3 times all year, and 2 times were on a wide receiver. Kadarius Toney being one of them. I didn't see the full video of Toney checking with the official or the official responding to him saying you're good or back up.
The official doesn't respond to him, but Toney looks at him, points at him, and then gets back in position.
Okay.
See, whoever made that comment about Scary Terry, like I saw that clip too, because I think he was mic'd up during that Washington game, and he said, "Am I good?" The ref says yes, and then he goes ahead and penalty, and he throws the flag anyway. Like that was, like I don't know. I don't want to get into the fact like is the NFL scripted, rigged, all under the sun, but like some of these refs are definitely like, to say these refs aren't at least have some bias or some like there's something going on, because like as much as I don't want to sit up here and like Mahomes said yesterday, like it kind of, I didn't like how Mahomes talked about it, but at the same time, when all these players are like week in, week out, like talking about the refs, and it's funny because like, no offense, Chase, I think the Chiefs get bailed out of more calls than maybe anybody, and that's
Not this
like
year.
not a hot take maybe, but
No,
like,
but not this year. Not this year. You're right in the past. I think you're right.
I apologize. I apologize. I don't want to be rude, but that's dumb. The Chiefs don't get bailed out. Because of that horrible offense or defensive pass interference call in the Super Bowl. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, they get bailed out all the time." No, they don't.
I mean, I think the Chiefs have been on the wrong side of 2 of the worst calls in NFL history.
The AFC Championship and the Super Bowl last year. I'll give you that. And I agreed with that. And I still do. My thing today is acting like that defensive or that pass interference call in the Super Bowl is the reason why the Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
No,
like we're almost a year out.
I'm an Eagles fan. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
no,
I'm an
100%.
Eagles fan. I want to say something right now. The Philadelphia Eagles had a 10-point lead, and it got carved up like Swiss cheese in that entire second half.
Yep.
Do I think the Eagles could have won the Super Bowl if that wasn't called? Yes. But I don't know. I don't know what happens.
They didn't do themselves any favors. Like they blew that second half. They played so bad that they almost deserved that to happen to them, because they put themselves in position for that to happen to them. Unfortunately, because I'm also an Eagles fan, so I hear you. But yeah, no, it's just funny because like I think Mahomes like from time to time gets like more calls, roughing the passer, those type of deals, like more than other quarterbacks. I'll put it that way. So it was just funny yesterday, like how he came clamoring for the refs. Like, not to say he wasn't justified. That's 2 completely different things. But it's like, you got to think, I mean, would a fine for Mahomes be like out of this world? Because if you criticize the refs, then the NFL's like, don't criticize the refs. You know what I mean?
It should be fine.
Yeah.
Well, they said the NFL is investigating both Reed and Mahomes for those comments yesterday, which I don't disagree that they should. And like I said, I know he's offsides. I'm not upset at the call. Like I said, what is weird to me is that how quickly Reed's tone changed after the reports came out that the NFL was, looking further into him and Mahomes' comments, and how quickly, like I said, Reed's tone changed.
I think that Andy Reid and Mahomes breathed like had a little breathing overnight, and I think today Andy Reid started playing damage control after the comment about Toney, like he didn't check with the official. Like, it's over, right? You got to play damage control. You cannot allow your team to harp on this loss, right? You cannot allow your team to harp on the officials. You can't let that happen. Now, to be honest, and it's funny because Big Cat's comments, and I know you guys all know who Big Cat is, they're spot on. I'm talking about the Super Bowl comments. I'm talking about Mahomes made the comment like, you can't make that call. He's not arguing that it's penalty or not. Like, you can't make that call there at that moment. When in reality, you can. And I'll explain to you why. The flag's thrown before Kelsey catches the ball. He makes a guy miss and throws the ball across the field to Kadarius Toney, who runs it in for a touchdown. Like, they don't know what's going to happen on that play. And if say Kelsey drops the ball or it's an incomplete pass or something else happens, we're not talking about this offsides call because it's clearly offsides. Am I wrong when I say that?
No. Yeah.
Kyle, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, my thing is like looking at this picture. If Tony's looking at the ball, how does he not see he's in the neutral zone? That's the first thing that came to my mind, whether he checked with the ref or whatever. Because looking at it, like his helmet is in line with the ball and his foot is kind of a little bit in front of his helmet. I would think he might have taken a little half step back anyway. That's neither here nor there because most wide receivers, like you said, will point to the linesman. They'll be like, "You're good," or whatever, and the play just runs on. Two, I knew Chase, you wanted me to talk about it because of the Brady thing. Because trust me, I was all over Twitter.
No.
Well, I was all over Twitter and X, and they kept showing the Panthers game where Gronk was being held by Kuechly and Brady followed the ref up the tunnel and was getting in his ear about it. Because look, I know Brady is a fiery character and he had his moments. Looking at the two situations though, Brady went to the podium after the game and he basically was like, I need to make a better pass and we shouldn't have been in a situation like that for a call like that to cost us the game. Whereas Mahomes is kind of like doubling down on it with the why call it there, greatness and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I was never going to talk trash about Mahomes because I get it. Heat of the moment, he just lost his mind. And I think kind of like Mo, the anger was towards like Tony and the receivers, but he didn't want to show them up. So he went at the refs about the call. I just think he's just got this anger built up because his receivers have failed him time after time this year. And I feel like he understands that this season is kind of slipping away from them because of the inability of these guys to catch the ball, run the right routes, whatever it is. Because the division looked pretty easy a couple of weeks ago. They're now only a game ahead of the Broncos, who have gone on this crazy, miraculous run, and there's a outside chance that they may actually lose the division to the Broncos and then have to fight for a wild card spot with a bunch of 7-6 teams. I think that anger came out of Mahomes in all of this. So, I'm not mad about the outburst on the sideline, but yeah, at a certain point, you gotta let it go.
Yeah.
You did it on the field, fine. Once you get to the podium, you gotta move on to next week, like Belichick used to do. We're on to Cincinnati, and just leave it at that.
It's funny, but they're on the New England.
I know.
New England next week, and it'll be a get-right game for them versus an awful Patriots team.
Hey, man, our defense is okay.
Oh, look out. Here comes Zappy, right? Right, Kyle? That's what you're here to tell us?
Zappy.
Be a get-right game.
It should be, but
Just checking.
But I'm just saying, if they're still harping on this by the time they get to that game against New England, that game might be a little bit closer than they would like.
Worse offside, that one or D Ford's?
Oh, D Ford's hands down. Not even a question.
I'm
D
kidding.
Ford was so far off sides, it was ridiculous. And it cost us the Super Bowl. So yes, D Ford's.
That was the game right there.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I will say, just as a Chiefs fan, I've got KC by 20. I love this. Let's do this. Let's piss Patrick Mahomes off at the end of the season in December. This is outrageous. Yeah, let's do it. Let's find out what Mahomes does in these next couple of games.
I would take the Patriots plus 20.
You are insane.
I don't worry about pissing Patrick Mahomes off anymore. I don't worry about pissing Patrick Mahomes off anymore. And I'll tell you why. It has nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes being the greatest quarterback in the world. It has everything to do with the fact that he has zero real wide receivers to throw the football to.
He's going to have to throw to Kelsey like every play. Yeah,
you have Travis Kelsey and then a bag of Fritos.
So what do you think Belichick's going to do? They're going to bracket Kelsey and force him to trust Tony or Rice, Watson, whoever.
I like
those guys. I like him too, but he's like the only one out of the group that you feel like could do something. But if those other guys don't show up, Mahomes will just be frustrated against a Patriots defense that can hold its own. It's pretty good. Now, offensively, it is what it is. But
Can we take a
defensively, the
moment
Patriots do.
can we take a moment to rewind the conversation that we had a few weeks ago about Andy Reid and not utilizing the run game the way he was supposed to, and why he was pushed out of Philadelphia, and he's doing it again here in Kansas City? I mean, like I like, it's maddening. It is fucking maddening. Sorry, pardon my French. Tell Freddie to find me later. But
Sorry, we got to talk to him about the StreamYard bill. It doesn't seem like he's paying it.
yeah.
Sorry, I should.
But Isaiah Pacheco goes down, and then now all of a sudden, our first round draft pick, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, is on the team. I don't know where Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been the past couple of years. And it's like, when the year started, they had Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, the kid from Tampa Bay, who was in for a few plays this year, who looked great. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There's 4 running backs that all can catch outside of, or catch, out routes, screens, and Kadarius Toney is getting shot after shot after shot. And I'm like, how many times does this guy have to drop the ball and lose a game for the Chiefs to be, or for Andy Reid to be like, okay, maybe I should use one of these 4 or 5 running backs that are on our team?
Can I ask you a question? And I'm not trying to be facetious.
Yeah,
I'm not. Do you remember when everybody was talking about Andy Reid was the greatest coach ever, and he's passing Belichick, and if he wins another Super Bowl, and I always pump the brakes on that comment. I'm like, do you not think the talent of Patrick Mahomes is overrating the coaching ability of Andy Reid?
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%.
Like, I think that Andy Reid, the GM, is terrible.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I mean, we know this from Philly. We dealt with this for years. And like the funny thing is, we always talk about how Andy got ran out of Philadelphia and be careful what you wish for and all that bullshit. Andy's kid died, and he came back to work a week later. He was not ready to coach the year that he coached. He needed a change of scenery. He needed to be out of Philadelphia. And his rebirth in Kansas City has been great for me to watch, because I don't hate Andy Reid. He gave us a lot of winning seasons. I'll never hate on him. I just don't. So, like, if I'm being honest with myself, right, I think a lot of coaches have their flaws. Every coach has their flaws, their tendencies. You guys ever Remember the Titans? Every coach has tendencies except Bud somebody, who we'll see in the state championship. You guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You can go through it. Bill Belichick's a terrible GM. He can't hire an offense coordinator to save his life. Andy Reid doesn't run the football, never does. Never has, never will, and doesn't value wide receivers. He hasn't. He got a gift in Tyreek Hill, bro. Took a guy, gave him a second chance.
He got a gift in this team. So I love Andy Reid, so I'm not gonna bash him. But for the same reasons that Philly sports media were bashing on him in 2013 for not utilizing LaShawn McCoy, is the same reason why he came to a 2-14 Kansas City Chiefs team, which, by the way, had 10 Pro Bowlers. 10. 2-14. They had 10 Pro Bowlers. Andy Reid comes in, brings Alex Smith, gets the number 1 overall pick, and can't do anything with the offense because he won't utilize Jamal Charles, and is bailed out by a great defense with guys like Tamba Hali, Derek Johnson, Justin Houston, Eric Berry, Brandon Carr.
Honey Badger?
Yeah. Which, like I said, it goes on. Then they make those changes. Honey Badger, because Eric Berry goes down.
Yep.
And Alex Smith is still a game manager, and they can't get over that hump. And it was Brett Veach who recommended Patrick Mahomes. they struck gold with it. But I 1,000% agree. Andy Reid wouldn't be in the position he's in if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes.
100% wouldn't.
If they drafted Deshaun Watson instead of Patrick Mahomes, like they were going to, or like everybody projected them to, not they were going to. We don't know what they were going to do, but everybody projected Kansas City to take Deshaun Watson at that 9 or 10 spot when they traded up. If they'd have done that, Reid would have been fired. Andy Reid wouldn't be coaching the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
I want to respond to this comment. He's a great preparation coach. He's one of the best prep coaches you'll ever see in football. He's not a great adjustment coach.
Yes, agreed.
Well, Gene, couldn't you say that about like? And now we've seen obviously Sirianni like defer the play calling to the OC when they had Shane Steichen, and like you saw how much better the Eagles offense looked under Shane Steichen, and now you have Brian Johnson. But like, remember when Sirianni was calling the plays? It was like 7 or 8 weeks into his rookie tenured, and the entire crowd in Philly's like, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. They start all he does is start listening to the fans. And I'm not saying they don't come up with different run schemes. Like, it's not like they just sit there and ask the fans, should we run the ball to the left or to the right? But they actually apply what the fans are saying and they run the ball. And then the following season, they become the best running offense in the NFL. And it's like, how, like, I don't understand how these coaches can't, like we watched the Eagles last night, and I thought the game plan was horrible. Like, and not to like, we don't have to get into that if you don't want, but it's like my thing is, especially with play calling, it's like you saw Dallas have all these plays where they got the ball out quick, and then you're watching Philly on offense, and it's like the routes are taking forever to develop. Like Jalen Hurts is getting people in his face because the routes are taking forever. They abandon the run every time it actually looks like it's going to work, or they never stick with it regardless. Like there's so much. So like Andy Reid gets that way too with not to cut you off. Like Andy Reid, he's just trigger happy to pass. And I think Philly, it might be from the ownership down, because they've said, even under Doug, that Jeffrey Lurie wants the team to pass more than, like, they want to be a pass heavy team. That's just the way they want to operate. And like that can work, yes, but if you don't have balance, like you get one dimensional and then you see what happens.
Oh, I got one for Kyle Shanahan. But let me talk about, you brought up Sirianni, and I just want to give you an example. Last night, second half of that game, they're down 24-6. Their first half game plan was terrible. They came out in the second half. They ran the ball, DeAndre Swift 8 yards. Run the ball, DeAndre Swift 7 yards. Run the ball, DeAndre Swift 7 yards. Then they throw a 13-yard completion to A.J. Brown, who gets stripped and fumbles the ball. It's maddening. You want to talk about Kyle Shanahan's tendencies? I'll talk about Kyle Shanahan's tendencies. He clunches up in big moments. You want to talk about a guy that's cost his team 2 Super Bowls? Not 1, 2 Super Bowls. He cost the Atlanta Falcons a Super Bowl versus the New England Patriots when they were up 28-3.
28-3, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he cost the San Francisco 49ers their Super Bowl versus the Kansas City Chiefs when it was 10-10. I'm sure Chase remembers this exact moment. It's 10-10. There's a minute and 53 left in the half. The 49ers got the ball, and they started running the clock out. And then on third down, they complete this ridiculous 60-yard play to Kittle, and it gets called back. And then the half is over. They go up 10 points. They lose the game 31-20. I think that was the final score. Am I right, Chase? Just a guess. He literally froze up, and he got out-coached because he just got scared. When the moment got big, he got scared. He played conservative, didn't trust Jimmy G. I don't know what you want to call it. I could have coached that Atlanta Falcons team. After Julio makes that catch on the sideline, I'm not even trying to be smart when I say this, right? You could have kneeled the ball 3 times, kicked the field goal, the game's over. What the hell were they doing? You could have kneeled the ball. Kneel. Kick a field goal with the most accurate kicker in the league at the time. Win the game. Patriots can't win. They get the ball back a minute 20, no timeouts. If they kneeled the ball 3 straight times, they got the ball back with a minute 16, down 10, no timeouts. Game's over. Can't win.
No, I completely agree. I remember when Julio made that play, I got up, walked out of the room because I was like, well, Atlanta's won the Super Bowl, because if that's the catch that he's going to make in that situation, clearly the Patriots aren't meant to win the game. And then when the play calling happened after that, I was like, well, it's kind of the Atlanta thing to do. Not know how to deal with success and find a way to blow it. So, and that's why I always love the on the sideline audio when it's like Mohamed Sanu and there's another wide receiver talking, and they're talking about how, oh, we got this in the bag, and I think Mohamed Sanu was like, but they got Tom Brady though, and completely killed the other wide receiver's vibe. He's like, it's not over yet, and then to see how the game played out is just hilarious to me. Arthur Blank's on the sideline ready to celebrate, and it's just the Atlanta way.
I mean, that's got to be the most gut wrenching Super Bowl loss of all time.
Yeah.
After
Zero good.
the season after Kansas City beat San Francisco in the Super Bowl, I had my hot take was Kyle Shanahan, and it's been for a couple of years now. I've had Kyle Shanahan as my hot take coach that could get fired, because Gene's right. Every single time he makes it to the big game or is in a big game situation, something happens. There's always an excuse, right? 28-3. Oh, it's it was Tom Brady, and they had our game plan, and they just, we were out coached and outplayed and blah, blah, blah. Against Kansas City, it was in the Super Bowl. It was, the penalties weren't going our way and et cetera, and all these excuses. And I thought, man, if there is, San Diego, Los Angeles, the Chargers fired Marty Schottenheimer after an AFC championship. Norv Turner got canned. Norv Turner never had a losing season in San Diego. So Kyle Shanahan to me is that guy that can't, no matter what he does, he can't. The 49ers will do great this year. They'll probably go to the NFC Championship and blow it against the Eagles again.
It's always excuses. Yeah. We got one last question that Kyle has, and we're kind of running up against it, and we have 15 minutes left. So I don't want to miss it. I want to talk about this. Oh, by the way, great conversation. Appreciate everybody in the chat.
Absolutely.
Kyle, what was your question? I love this question. I didn't want to miss it.
No, I mean, it was just looking at kind of the wild weekend that was, how jumbled up the wild card, especially in the AFC, is. How do we see the wild card spots being divvied up? Who gets that 5, 6, 7 seed? I mean, if you want to play the game with the NFC as well, I guess there's a little bit of intrigue about maybe the 7th spot in the NFC. But more importantly, the AFC.
You're not just booking Joshua Dobbs and Nick Mullins and the Vikings into the 6, right? You're not doing that, are you?
No, not really. So okay. I mean, I just said
there's
6 and 7.
There's intrigue in both divisions. The 4, 6, and 7 are up for grabs in the NFC, and then I guess the 5, 6, 7 are up for grabs in the AFC. Anybody want to go first? When he sent this question out, I have a clear indicator of where I'm going.
I mean, I can go. I mean, it's my question, I guess. Yep. So, AFC, look, I feel like the 3 teams that are in, not all of them get in. I feel like the Browns. No, I think the Steelers and Colts fall out. Although Steelers get over 500, Tomlin keeps the streak going. I actually think the Texans, the Broncos, and I can make the argument, Bengals and Browns fight for the 7th seed.
Okay, so the Texans have 4, and I mean 4, very winnable games.
Yes.
So let me lock them into the 5.
Yep.
I think the Texans get the 5th seed. I think the Buffalo Bills make the playoffs. I got to be the first person to say that now. After they won yesterday, I think they beat Dallas at home in Philadelphia. It's a letdown game for Dallas. I think that they go into Buffalo and they have to play Josh Allen, and it's an ultra letdown game for them. Joe Brady in that offense has looked a lot better, and I think the Buffalo Bills win that game. And I think the only game that trips the Bills up the rest of the year is the Dolphins. So I think they beat the Chargers, especially without Justin Herbert, and then they play the Patriots. So I think the Bills lock up your 6.
Okay.
So the 7 to me is between Gardner Minshew and the Colts, Russell Wilson and the Broncos, and whatever Joe Flacco is doing with the Browns. And I made this prediction before, and they won yesterday, and I can't get off of it. I think the Browns fall out of the playoffs, and I think that last seed goes to the Indianapolis Colts. I think that the Broncos they have winnable games, they do, but I don't trust that team, and that team looked terrible versus the Texans just 2 weeks ago, and we're going to forget about that. I'll go with the Colts as the 7 seed.
Okay.
What do you got for the AFC, Aaron?
I'm gonna have to. I think the Colts fall out. To be honest with you, I just don't think they have enough on both sides of the ball. And I like Shane Steichen, obviously being our offensive coordinator last year. I miss him dearly, as you can see, as the way we're playing this year without him. But I just try, as much as I don't like Sean Payton whatsoever. I really, really don't. I think the Broncos squeeze in there. And just they've been playing so well, and not that the Colts haven't, they definitely have, but I do think, and Pittsburgh, I mean, say what you want about Kenny Pickett, they look at least better with him in there, and him not being in there. It's I mean, if they don't start Mason Rudolph this week, I don't really know what they're trying to do, because Trubisky is probably the worst quarterback in football. He should not play another game the rest of the year.
4th and 2. Yeah. Everybody else is trying to get 3 yards. Mitch is throwing the bomb.
It's not Big Ben back there anymore. Let's get a different game plan going there. So I just don't necessarily trust Pittsburgh right now, even though they, like Kyle said, I mean, they never have losing seasons. It's just to make the playoffs, I don't know. Houston definitely, I think, makes it. And then I think Buffalo does as well. I just don't trust. I mean, if Cincinnati, I'm not going to rule them out, but if I'm gun to my head, I say Buffalo makes it over Cincinnati.
I do want to address something real quick. Adam, I love you and I love your comments. But when you say I've been saying Dolphins versus Niners Super Bowl for a while now, you do realize it hasn't happened yet. You're not doing your victory lap. I'm glad that's your prediction. You can say that. And if it happens, you could say, I said Dolphins 49ers for a while. But that's not I've been saying Eagles Chiefs for a while now. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
It didn't happen yet. I love you. I'm just saying. Chase, who are the wild card teams in the AFC?
I'm going. I like the Colts. The only game on Denver's schedule that I'm looking at is they got the Raiders on January 7th, but other than that, they've got to play the Chargers on New Year's Eve. I mean, I know the Chargers aren't, anything to brag about, but I don't know, man. I like the Colts. I don't like the Steelers. I like the Bills to sneak up into that spot. I'll take Cleveland with the elite Joe Flacco, the Indianapolis Colts and the Buffalo Bills.
I like it. NFC. Why don't you start us in the NFC?
In the NFC, hey,
let's
listen.
do 4, 6, and 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, we know 2 or 5 is going to be the Eagles or Cowboys.
Exactly.
Okay. Because I was going to say, if you guys are expecting me to think that the Cowboys are going to finish number 1 in the division, I'm not doing it. I just refuse.
The Raiders' offense is lifeless, Jory. The Raiders' defense is not lifeless. Antonio Pierce has that defense playing with some fire.
Yeah.
Sorry.
but no, I like. I don't know if I'm as big on Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers as you were earlier, Gene. But
It's fair. I'm not big on anybody in the NFC South, but like I got to pick someone to win it. And Derek Carr is getting called out on Twitter by Michael Thomas, who, by the way, Derek Carr and Michael Thomas have played the exact same amount of games for the New Orleans Saints the last 4 years. Mind you, Derek Carr's been on the team for 1 year.
How's Michael Thomas the one talking? That's wild.
I'll tell you what. I hated, or there's certain players that I'll never root for because they played for the Raiders or the Broncos. You can call me petty, you can call me childish, but that's just how it is. Derek Carr is one of those guys that I always liked. I just couldn't stand him because he was a Raider. But when I found out he was leaving the Raiders, I love you. Give me a guy with the work ethic like Derek Carr. He's never going to be a star. He's never going to be top tier, but for a guy with the work ethic that Derek Carr has, I'll take somebody like Derek Carr all day over somebody like Michael Thomas.
I'll never forget his press conference after the Henry Ruggs situation. And if you want to define leadership in one press conference, it was that one.
Yep.
I loved it, every bit of it. Like he said, I'm so sorry for the families and everything that happened, but that was still my teammate. I'm not going to just not support him. I'm like, dude, this is leadership.
Yep. There's two press conferences, not to get too far off subject, two press conferences that live in my head rent free. That one from Derek Carr and the one from Brady Quinn after the Chiefs played the Panthers in 2012 when Javon Belcher committed suicide in the parking lot at Arrowhead. Those two press conferences, Brady Quinn didn't amount to a whole lot in the NFL, but his leadership and what it takes to be a man to get up there on the podium and say the stuff that he said that day was awesome. And same thing with Derek Carr for his press conference after Henry Ruggs. Anyways, I don't put much faith into the Saints without a leader on that team. So give me the Rams. Actually,
I know who's going to win the NFC South though.
Oh, who's going to win the NFC South?
Yeah, Bucks, Falcons, Saints.
Falcons.
Okay, so you got Desmond Ridder. I'll take Baker Mayfield. I'm not saying I like Baker, but and then you have the Rams, and then do you think the Packers, the Vikings? Who's your other team? I love the way the Rams are playing, by the way. Problem is they got to play San Francisco, who's a friggin' like a wrecking ball.
Yeah, and there's some troll who is constantly talking about the Los Angeles Rams and the New York Giants all the time, and I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of picking those teams. So I'm pulling back on that. Give me the Packers. I don't trust Kirk Cousins. I'm not Kirk Cousins. I don't trust Dobbs to continue with the Minnesota.
I think
Vikings.
it's gonna be Nick Mullen. I think they benched him. I think he's done. We got about four minutes left. So you have, just to be clear, you have the Falcons winning the division, you have the Packers, and you have the Seahawks. Not Seahawks. You said Seahawks, right? Rams. Sorry. So
no, the Seahawks. I told you I'm not going with the Rams. I refuse.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Yeah.
You got Seahawks. So Aaron, give me your 4, 6, and 7.
4, 6, and 7. I'm with you on the Bucks. I do like Baker Mayfield as just a guy that's going to give you 1,000%. Like, he's, say what you want about his arm strength or his decision making at times, but he's the definition of like, I'll just put the team on my back and I'll go out there with a busted shoulder and 3 broken ribs and I'll play. So as much as I do like Derek Carr as well, like I'm on the bandwagon with Derek Carr. I just don't, that Saints team seems to have too many just problems there. So this year, at least, for whatever reason. So I do think the Packers sneak in as well. Like I just, in a world where the Packers aren't in the playoffs, it's a little strange. I know they missed it last year, but I think they do just enough to get in. And then Number 6, like man, I don't trust the Vikings enough. I'd probably go Rams as well. Like I trust Sean McVay more than I don't even remember the Vikings coach O'Connell or something like that. Yeah, give me the Rams as well. Rams almost beat Baltimore in a crazy game this weekend. So
I have an absolute crazy prediction for you, but I wouldn't be me if I didn't have it. I have the Buccaneers finishing the 4 seed. The 6 seed, I have the Green Bay Packers. Although, I'm telling you right now, Tommy Bagels might beat them tonight. Be careful, because if Tommy Bagels beats them tonight, Tommy Pizza Rolls, I don't know. But Packers are my 6. My 7 seed, I think they run the table. Give me the Chicago Bears.
wow.
Okay.
Fields and the Bears have played different. They've played better. That defense has been incredible since getting Montez Sweat. They already have the Panthers' first overall pick, so they're not tanking. Give me the Bears.
They play the Browns, the Cardinals, and the Falcons.
Win.
And then the Packers week 18.
That's going to be the game that I'm worried about. I don't know how that goes. I don't know who needs it, why they need it, but I think that the Rams play the 49ers, and that's their 8th loss, and they could slip up somewhere else. I think the Seahawks play the Eagles next week, so they could be 6-8. So that's their 8th loss, and I think that the Bears will be 8-8 also. So going into week 18, I think that the Bears, Rams, I think that they all have 8 losses.
Okay. I mean, I respect that. I thought I was going to go be the crazy one, but I got the Bucks winning the South. I saw a Baker Mayfield that was fired up at a team that looked like they want to play for Baker and with him. I think that's enough to get them that trash division. 6, I'm going the Packers. I agree. I feel like the Jordan Love turnaround from the hot start, terrible middle, and now he's kind of figured out. Respect that. Look, it took getting that Aaron Rodgers out of there to give them a playoff spot. Love taking a shot at Aaron Rodgers. And I want to say the Seahawks 7, but it depends on this Geno Smith situation. I know he's out, but I mean, they have the Eagles next week. Even if he misses that game, the next 3 are winnable. So maybe they get in off of a tiebreaker. So that's what I'll go with the Seahawks.
You know, the problem with the Seahawks is the next 3 are winnable, but they're also losable.
I know.
Like,
that's
tell
the
me
tough
you
thing.
can't see them going into Tennessee and losing to the
I
Titans.
know. That's the
Tell
tough
me
part.
you can't see them losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers for Mike Tomlin to get over 500. Yeah. Tell me you can't see Kyler Murray beating them in Arizona the last week of the season.
Yeah.
They're winnable and losable at the same time.
That's the Seahawks in a nutshell right there.
Guys, we have to wrap up. We have less than a minute remaining. The first thing I wanted to do, I just wanted to thank Aaron for joining us tonight. He's been a breath of fresh air. He's awesome. We miss Jory, but it's great to get a new face on the show every once in a while. So thank you so much. If you didn't get a chance to, please check out Brutally Honest Sports and also check out the Bases Loaded podcast. It looks like it's Kyle, Aaron, Jonathan, loving the group so far. But thank you so much for joining us. Chase, it's always good talking sports with you. You're my favorite Chiefs fan of all time. And then, Kyle, I will say this. You are the Prince of Production for Sports Empire Network. You are the man, the myth, the legend. I appreciate doing the show with you. Anybody have any final thoughts? You get 5 seconds. Go.
Great show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Always fun, gentlemen.
Yes.
Well, if you're getting me extra 5 seconds, Devin A-Chain touchdown score, Waddle over 60, A-Chain over 60, Levis over 205, and Tajay Spears over 25 receiving. Thank you so much. This is it. Time it. Hit the button. Hit the button. We're at the time.